Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here, and I have Mr. Michael in the house. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing great. How you doing?
Was it Dennis? Is it Dennis? Was it Building Men? Okay, yeah. He just basically introduces me to anybody that he interviews, so he hasn't done me wrong yet. So here we are. What I like to do with my guest, because in true fashion, we've never met. We had exchanged one text. I like people to kind of start their story where they want to, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate being on and connecting with you. I had an opportunity to connect with Dennis, great guy, and we had a lot of laughs, and we're going to reconnect actually tomorrow. So a little bit about me is, I grew up in a Jersey boy, and grew up in like the old school Italian kind of mindset, living outside New York City. And
dude, I coach 3 guys from New Jersey, and let me tell you something, bro. I just got back from there. It's a different world, bro.
It's its own world. It's its own world, bro.
Yeah.
Unless you're from there, like it's its own language, it's its own humor, dude.
And I'll do you one better. Watch his face.
Bro.
Watch his face, everybody. I spent most of my time in Staten Island.
Oh man.
Watch it. I knew it. Everybody would shoot me DMs, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing there, dude? Get out of there.
Oh my God. But dude, I grew up in that kind of drifty mentality of just be pissed off, head down, go make a lot of money. But I was just always like, yo, everyone's so pissed off here. Mm-hmm. But it like polishes a different kind of mindset and humor, which I appreciate. But living there, I was like, oh man, this isn't for me. So I found a lot of in my 20s, I was being groomed to take over a company, my uncle's company, and making a lot of money and traveling the world and staying in fancy hotels. But dude, like the more and more responsibility and stress I took on, bro, I was just miserable. And I remember thinking in my 20s, like, dude, there's got to be a better way to live in. And I started to like really focus on health and mindset. And I remember, years after working for my uncle, and like, bro, he was grooming me to take over his multi-million-dollar company. I remember sitting down at dinner and being like, yeah, man, I think I'm out. He thought I was crazy. My father thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy because I had this like insane, promising financial future, but I was unhealthy. I was miserable. And then in my late 20s, I started to really recapture my health and really reprioritize mindset and a healthy lifestyle. And then I just started naturally moving into coaching because people kept asking me in my company, what are you doing, man? You're losing weight. You look great. Your energy's outstanding. And I just started going into coaching. I didn't even know what the hell it was back in, I don't even know what that was, 2010, 2009. And people, and one day this guy, we were at a company party, a Christmas party. And this guy walks over to me and he's like, hey man, are you Michael? You changed my life. And I was like, bro, I don't even know who you are. What are you talking about? He's like, all the coaching you give my wife, she comes home and she tells me all of it. And in the last year, I've lost 50 pounds. I'm running the Boston Marathon.
Bro.
Like you changed my life. I never even met the guy.
Wait. Just wait. You're about to see how crazy the universe is. I just got off a podcast with my buddy. He asked me what my dream in life was. I'm about to describe it to you, okay? 65 years old, living in a small town in Italy. I'm walking down the cobblestone streets to get my breakfast in the morning, and somebody yells out, "That's motherfucking Austin Linney," right? And he runs up to me, and I go, "I don't know who the fuck you are."
Right.
And he goes, "No, you don't. But you coach Jay, and Jay coached me, and you changed my life forever.
Yeah, bro. I mean, there it is right there, right? It's that second circle that we don't even know what we're touching. Like, here's my first circle of people I know. They're my family, my friends, the people I coach. But that second circle, that's a big philosophy I live by. It's like,
I never heard anybody describe it like that, dude. That makes me excited.
Dude, the second circle is where all your impact is. If you're starting a business, who's your second circle? If you want to impact people's life, who's the second circle? Because there's people all around you. They know you, like you, know you, trust you, all that stuff. But who can you reach because of your first circle? And dude, I built my whole business on my philosophy of second circle.
Yeah, because I tell everybody all the time, like, how can you compete with me? Like, the problem is fuel, right? Everybody has fuel they live off of. Mine's absolute.
Yeah. There you go.
You're built off of anger. You're built off of short-term goals, your short-term focus, and you're wondering why you're burnt out all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when he said that to you and he said, man, you changed my life, that had to throw you for a full loop because you were like, holy crap.
Well, it like challenged my whole worldview at the time. Because at the time, my whole worldview was like, all right, I guess I'm the heir to this throne. But the truth and the honesty of it was I wasn't really making any great impact in people's lives. I was making money. And then when this guy said that, I was like, wait a second. I was almost at like this crossroad. Like, what's the future? What's the life I really want? Do I want this like stressed out, financially sound future? Or do I want a life of impact that, listen, maybe with some hard work, I'll just make that financially sound. So it kind of altered my whole worldview at the time. And I was like, I got to move toward this. I got to at least explore it for myself. And then as I explored it more and more, and then I started to, that first circle, the people that and that know you, your family, your friends, I would just tell them, hey, anybody that's interested in what I'm up to and needs help? And so I started my whole coaching company, coaching like my friends' parents, friends of friends, their spouses, like people I didn't really know, but people that knew me knew them. And they're like, yo, I vouch for them, connect with them. And as I started to do that, I remember I had to sit down with my uncle and I was like, listen, man, I love you. I appreciate the last 8 years. I appreciate all the opportunity, but I want my life to be about impact. And I was like, I'm going to start a coaching company. And my uncle was like, what are you talking about? And dude, his response was, when that doesn't work out, I'll leave a position open for you at the company. And all I heard in my construct was go for it. I was like, all right, man. So I drove home that night. My mother called me. She lived in Florida. I was in New Jersey. And she was like, how did dinner go? I was like, as well as could be expected. And my mother was like, yo, what do you want? What do you want in your future? And I said to my mother, I was like, yeah, I want to be part of the solution. And right now I feel like I'm part of the problem. I do that one moment, like that one like declaration, it started to reshape my entire life and future. And I just set on this journey to learn as much about myself as I possibly could, and then contribute that.
And it was super easy, right? I mean, you just got clients and you just made like $1 million, like right out the gate, right?
Bro,
you know what? You want to know the greatest thing a really, really wealthy entrepreneur told me? Because he was bad off into some drugs. Like, this dude makes a lot of money per month, like a lot. And he was like bad off into some drugs. And he goes, I made a declaration that I was going to change. I was going to lead men. And he goes, then God walked up to me and beat the fuck out of me for 2 years. And told me, oh, you want to lead men? Yeah, we're going to see how bad you want to do it. And he's like, the moment that you're about to lose that last gasp of air, you get that one thing you need.
Yep. Then at the end, it all clicks. And you're like, oh my God, what was all the pain for? You're like, oh, you needed it. I say that all the time though, man. It's like, I think a lot of times people think like, oh, I'm going to make this big declaration and commitment, and then life is going to part like Moses part in the Red Sea for me. And like my whole future is going to be lit up. I'm like, bro, the first thing, when you make a commitment, the first thing life does is test the shit out of it.
Have you ever heard of the law of favorability? Like it happens all the time. When you declarate and you start a new thing, they give you just enough to go, okay, I made the right decision. And then right after that, it's crickets. dude, I tell you a true story. I'm so open with my life. Yeah. My coaching business, I lost my biggest client, was addicted to Adderall, didn't tell me, and just disappeared, stopped paying me. This is my 60% of my monthly income. And I called my buddy who's a super successful entrepreneur. And I said, dude, I am at a crossroads right now. Like, figure it out. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And he goes, here's the thing. Either shut the fuck up and get to work or give up. He's like, that's it. And I put my head down, and in the last, 6 months, I've created more than I've ever created, because I made a decision I really feel like those are those moments, man, that they're like saying, like, which way are you going to go?
There's those crossroads, man. And they're one after the other. But
because then you're downing yourself, then you're in the shame cycle. Then you're in this loop, and then people can feed off of that.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like what you just said too, is I wrote my book, New Man Emerging, maybe 2 years ago. I actually wrote it probably 3 years ago. I published it 2 years ago. And in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, I woke up and all these words were getting downloaded. I couldn't go back to sleep. So I went into my office, started typing. It happened the next night. So 3 days later, my wife was like, what are you doing in the middle of the night? I'm like, I don't know. All these words are coming to me. So I just keep going into my office and writing them down. She's like, read it to me. I read it to her. My wife's like, yo, you need to write a book. I'm like, I'm not writing a book. Get out of here. So we go to my mother's house that night, which is like an hour north of me. And she's like, read what you wrote to me, to your mom. So I read it to my mom. She's like, you need to write a book. I was like, what are you, nuts? But here's the two most important women in my life saying, you need to write a book. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a book. And I said that, and I declared it because I was like, what I'm going to do is I'll just wake up in the middle of the night. Whatever comes, I'll just keep writing it. I don't care. Wake up, I'll walk into my office, I'll go back to sleep. I'll sleep late. So the moment I said I'm going to write a book, all of the inspiration totally evaporated. And I was like, oh shit, I just promised the two most important women in my life that I would do this. And now I actually got to sit down every day, slog through it, trug through it. And I thought that this was going to be some inspiring, biblical moment of oh, this is how it got produced. And I was like, dude, the majority of it was sitting down when I didn't want to every day, day after day at a certain time, whether something came or not, but just every day choosing, oh, this is it. This is it. This is it, over and over and over again, until the momentum of it was like, all right, now there's something here about halfway through. But it was a slog, man. I thought it was going to be this inspirational moment. And I'm like, nah, as soon as I declared it, it was over.
No, because my favorite thing to do is to study art. Like, I think that coaching is an art. I think that writing, putting videos out, that's an art. And the thing that when you study art, you realize that art is innately not yours. Has nothing to do with you, right? And I always tell the same story. One of my favorite books that I ever get entrepreneurs to shake themselves loose when they're stuck is I make them read Big Magic. And Big Magic is a book, the lady that wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she tells a story about when she was an early writer, she had a story about a 1913 gold mine in Argentina, Chile, about a lover who found a fortune and this whole thing that, she lived in Minnesota. So it was whatever, right? So she said for 4 years, she tried to write this book. She never wrote it. She didn't get around to it. And she met a mentor of hers, a lady that she loved who lived in California. And she said, hey, I got this new story I'm going to write. I'm really inspired by it. It's about a 1913 gold rush in Argentina about a lover. Two women, different parts of the state, came with the same story. Wow. And she got out of the way and let the other person write it because she says, I didn't respect it enough to write the story.
Wow. That's crazy. But there's tons of stories of that, two artists and scientists on opposite ends of the world.
So what does that say? That we're connected energetically. Yeah, totally. Energetically, we're connected. Why in that moment, and my mom always tells me, don't go down the rabbit hole too far. Why in that moment can I send that text to that person right when they need it? Why can I send that
Right.
song to that person like right when they're at their low? Why can my buddy, when I'm doubting myself, send me that text, yet we haven't spoken in 6 months,
Right.
right when you need it?
Right. Like, but it also, it really starts to highlight like consciousness and future is built up of all this potential energy, and we're either tapping into it or we're just letting it get stagnant.
Most of the time we're avoiding it, right?
Yes,
And
letting it get stagnant, avoiding it, suppressing it. Yeah.
One of the things that I think is that we need to listen to our gut more often. I think our gut
No
is
doubt.
like, I think our gut runs a 99 percentile personally.
Seriously.
It's the ego and the mind that are fighting against it.
Constantly. And that creativity and that potential is always available. It's just that we don't let ourselves access it.
Oh, well, it's once again, we had my coach on with my other podcast, and my coach was talking about how he had some clients most of his clients are Jewish. So he had 3 weeks of no clients because they had 3 holidays in a row. And like, he doesn't like being not working because he freaks out. Like his mind's like freaking out. And he's like, what if I actually spent this time like taking my dog for a walk and like taking my wife out and having this amazing conversation. He's like, it was so great that I took that opportunity because I had this time available to spend time with my wife. And my co-host said, or was that moment always available and you have never taken the opportunity?
You didn't access it. Yeah. It's always available. That's the thing. Like, it's always available.
So how does one start shifting their life? Like when you're, and what you do with your clients, how does one start tapping into that stuff? Is it being innately aware of other things?
I think that the 2 biggest, let's say, mindset tools are focus and choice. Like, if you take this conversation we're having, like it's accessible, it's available, but what actually has me access creativity and has me access like what this moment actually has to offer? Number one, I have to focus on here and now and what's available, and then I have to consciously choose it. And if I don't consciously choose it, or if I'm not focused on it, then life goes into that like automatic reactivity. I'm just kind of living out old past patterns, habits, and operating systems. And I'm not really connecting to here and now, what's available here and now. I'm just using old operating systems from my history and then just telling the moment what it is through an old lens. What cleans that lens up is like, hold on, let me focus on here and now, and then let me choose something. And I always say you got to choose something, like a greater commitment, right? Like here, we were just talking about these crossroads in life, like, right? Like, well, here's the thing. What's the greater commitment? The greater commitment is what's going to have us proactively go into an unknown future, right? That greater commitment is going to have me redesign who I am so that I see through that commitment of prosperity or peace or personal power or freedom or vulnerability or connection. It's going to have me redesign who I am now, because that commitment is going to drive me and draw me into an unknown future, which a lot of people have, framed as scary or fearful. But bro, like it's life. Like,
so Brene Brown, I just finished her book, and she did a study with like 1,000 people, right? And they did a study on the awkward moment, that awkward feeling that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I went through all of my clients and I asked them, how long do you think that awkward moment lasts? And all of them said 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. You know how long? 8 seconds.
Right? We just think it's an eternity.
Because we've created a society where we no longer will be uncomfortable. We can't. We can't. It's never gonna. You know how you fix a stomach? You know how you actually fix your stomach? By not eating. Holy fuck. Wow.
Right.
What an amazing concept. By not putting shit in your stomach and letting your stomach fix itself. Whoa. I'm not even a doctor.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, think about it. We've constructed a whole culture around avoiding discomfort, when really the discomfort is where growth is. It's where creativity is. Hold on. Like, it's where healing is, like you're talking about. Like, dude, like, but if I'm never allowing myself to be uncomfortable, like I'm actually stunting my own growth. Like,
go ahead. Sorry.
I love idea around, incredibly successful people from average, like they're not, it's not that they're exponentially brilliant, smarter, more intelligent. Like, it's
I tell you
not
what,
at all.
dude, I have interviewed billionaires. I have spent time, my mentor, who I'm in his hotel right now, is a millionaire at 27. I've spent many weekends with these guys. And he gave me a gift when I flew across the country for a 15-minute meeting 2.5 years ago. He gave me a gift. And it changed my entire life. We were sitting down. He looked me dead in the face within the first 2 minutes and said, "You and I are no different. I just got started with better people around me and sooner. That's it."
Yeah.
That was the moment that I took everybody off the pedestal and said, "You have it here. Let's go."
Right. And there's, I think the people you surround yourself with, critical, and also our relationship with discomfort or failure.
Well, it's not. Well, actually, I think failure doesn't even exist.
Well, it's an interpretation. But
it's the same. It's the same concept of everybody loves labels.
Yeah,
like you can't just walk around and say I'm a helper of people. You'd be like, fucking great. So is the fucking homeless guy on the street. You got to say I'm a life coach because that gives me some sort of status in the community that allows me to leverage people to hire me. You can't just say like, "Hey, I go fucking change people's lives." That's not a tagline that people.
I get it. But what I'm saying is that the interpretation or the relationship with failure is a major filtration of people. Some people are like, I will avoid it at all costs. I'll avoid discomfort. I'll avoid even the possibility of falling short and messing up. And the most successful people I know are like, no, bring it on. I learned from it.
Dude, I have an NFT podcast. I don't even know what a fucking NFT is. But my thought process is wade out into deep waters, learn, see what happens. And you never know what's going to take you there.
But what you're saying is like that right there separates you from 99% of the population, because most 99% of the population are, let me study NFTs for like 4 years. Let me get every single piece of data that exists, which by the way, it's like changing every day.
Well, you know what's interesting? I was in the space for about an hour and I realized exactly what crypto and NFTs are. It has nothing to do with cryptos and NFT. It's community.
Yeah.
Unbiased community based off of supporting people's skill sets. That's it. Yeah. Okay, well, I can get down with some culture and community.
Yeah, which is going to, over time, make everyone even more and more interconnected. Mm-hmm. Oh, all right, cool.
Well, you live in Miami. I think you live in Miami. I think Miami's a really good display of that. Like Miami is like, dude, we don't really give a shit what you look like, where you came from. Like, just hang out, catch the vibe, and we're good, bro.
Yeah, and we're good, as long as you stay, and we're good till you leave. Yeah, man. There's another group coming in right after you.
Yeah. And so when you create that momentum, and I wonder, and I don't know, how successful you've been, but do you ever think about what your life would have been if you would have stayed at your uncle's company?
Oh man, I think it's natural for our minds to compare, and I think of that sometimes. But one of the biggest things that I default to is like my worst day now was my best day then. When I'm honest about it. I realized that, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in New Jersey, but financially we were never sound growing up. We were like the family whose lights were always getting turned off. Like father was always underwater financially, talented, but not a very, good businessman. And so when I had the opportunity to make money in my early 20s, like I was not on solid footing. So I look back and I'm like, I used a lot of that for identity and self-worth. And here I was, when I was young, I didn't come from money. And then in my 20s, driving a Mercedes, owned my own home, traveling the world, vice president of the company. So a lot of it fed my identity, but none of it was really like deep, impactful work that was like meaningful to me. So when I look back, I was like, yeah, it fed an identity, but if I had stayed there, I just think I would have kept going deeper and deeper down like that emotionally isolated road. And I think my health would have suffered, and I probably would have been incredibly stressed out and miserable and kept having shitty relationships. So I think for me, that moment of discomfort is what really ignited the necessity of my courage. Right? Like here I was at this crossroad. I was like, I could kind of see where my future's going here. Because my uncle, although he was like my father, I love him to death. Not a healthy guy. I was like, okay, that's kind of my future. That's the trend. That's at least where I'm trending. And then I was like, well, here's this unknown future that really, like you said, my gut, my heart, my instinct is really pulling me toward. And it really required, in that moment, like I get to be courageous right now and to step into that unknown. And by doing so, I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Because like I said, my worst day now is my best day then.
Well, it's interesting because, I'm sure you see it too. Like what is the, you have different clients, different ages, different walks of life. Like what's the common thread that you see that weaves through like everybody? Like, is it lack of a certain thing?
I think for who I work with like a lot of stressed and overwhelmed, successful men. But I help them reprioritize like what's important in life, like domains in life, things that I say require love and attention, like your health, your finances, your marriage, your relationships, your travel, your spiritual life. Like these are domains in life. They require love and attention to be optimal. And I think one of the biggest themes that I work with is people that have gone after, let's say, success and an accomplishment in, let's say, their financial domain, but other domains are, struggling or non-existent. So I think there's this lack of harmony between, okay, all the domains of my life are harmonized and they all get love and attention. And I know when to work and I know when to shut it down and take a walk with my wife. And like you were saying with your coach with his Jewish clients, like knowing what that harmony is. And I think for a lot of the clientele that I work with, especially men, we're so conditioned in our cultures, like just go succeed. And then once you succeed, that's going to fix everything else. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so deeply conditioned into us that we're like, and it's been proven ineffective over and over.
No, we're really good. And I am like the king of seek and destroy, but I cannot hoard. I just had a call with my coach. He said, listen, you've created the life that you wanted physically, like in your schedule, but your mind hasn't caught up yet.
Right.
Like you haven't set the separation. I think most men, dude, if you tell us to go, like go get, like if you want me to go get money, you want me to go get somebody's attention, you want me to go get somebody, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
So give me 5 minutes and like a vague blueprint and I will go dominate it. Right. And we're super effective that way. But then ask me or ask most men to now go harmonize between go and getting all that quality time with your wife and your family and your partner, and then your friendships, your relationships, and your spiritual life, and make sure. I think
that we're not. My new thing I'm on. I think we're not creating distinctive intention in the shift of whether that be music or a quick 2-minute meditation to shift the intention of who we're showing up as. Right. Like one of the analogies we use is like the car may change, but the driver never changes. So like sometimes you need to be a minivan, sometimes you need to be a Lamborghini, sometimes you need to be things, but the driver doesn't change.
Right. But the driver needs to know what tool is effective at that time. Like if I got a family of 7, bro, the Lamborghini is not going to work too well. Right. That's where the Chevy Astro comes in, dude. I just throw them in the back, no seatbelt. Right. No. Like I got to know. And to me, and a lot of what I coach into my clientele is like, that's what I call being dynamic. Being dynamic is that I can create a life where I give all those domains love and attention. Whereas I think especially for men in the conversation and the narrative of men in our cultures, be one dimensional. And I think that's where so many men are actually suffering, and they're depressed, and they're losing friends and losing connection. And yet they're justifying it like, yeah, but I keep getting money, or I keep getting sex.
Dude, my favorite thing is
maybe the next thing will fix it all.
Dude, my favorite thing is you work 20 years, make all the money, and then you turn around and go to your family like, I fucking did this shit for you. And they both look at you and go, we never asked you to, motherfucker.
Bro,
tell me that doesn't happen 9 times out of 10.
I'm telling you, we are 2 hours from me just having this conversation with someone. And I was like, but here's the deal. But here's the rub. If you admit that it's for you, that's fine. But don't try to label it as this for the family. Don't pawn it off on them. Nope. No. See, that's the thing. Is like, now I did all this for you. Like, what? Like, you, especially their children. Like, yo, I was 3.
I was 3, bro.
Yeah, I was 3. I didn't ask you for anything except to feed me and burp me and let me shit somewhere.
Mm-hmm. No, and I try to tell every young kid, this is the truth, and I haven't said this statement in a while. Every fucking moment that you're wasting in your 20s is a moment that you're stealing away from your future kids. Every fucking moment that you're at the fucking bar, pissing your fucking money away, not investing in yourself, not healthy. I'm 38, about to be 39. I've lost 80 pounds. Like, dude, like, trust me, like, every moment that I could be retired already if I know what I know now. Like, every moment that you're not investing, get started early and get started on yourself as early as possible. Because I can't tell you, and I'm sure you go through the thing, I meet on a weekly basis 5 to 4 50-year-olds that would give their right arm to be able to be present for their kids, but they didn't get started but 3 years ago.
Oh, you froze there for a second. They would give their right arm for what?
I mean, 1 million 50-year-olds that would have died to start investing or learn about personal development 4 years ago or 20 years old, so they could actually spend time with their kids. But no, they're trading time for money.
No doubt about it. I hear it all the time, man. All the time. Mm-hmm. And it's, I think it's that, that myopic tunnel vision of like, it'll all work out, with, like you were saying before, is like that lack of intention. That lack of focus of really deliberately creating that life that you want. But again, I think what gets us out of that reactivity is consistently prioritizing those domains in life, because that's what's gonna create that trend. Like, I wish I knew, or I wish, like you were saying, like I was investing earlier financially. I wish I was investing more in my relationships, or I wish I was investing more in, like, yeah, of course, man. But had I done that, think of the trend that would have created, rather than being one dimensional, the dynamicness. So that's what I coach a lot of the men that I work with on.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, I was very guilty of it too. Like, a large portion of what you're working towards is not even for you either. Like, it's for, is my dad going to give me the validation I'm seeking? Like, hey, guess what? Probably fucking not. Like, I have the most awkward relationship with my father for going on 22 years right now. And, Angelo Cisco, who's a really good friend of mine, I was on his podcast in California, and he said something to me that really set me straight. He said, large portion of adults, especially men, never graduate the relationship with their parents.
Right.
You're 45 years old and you're still acting like you're 16.
I was having this conversation with someone just a few days ago, where when they're honest, they'll actually see that the majority of their decisions, actions, choices are actually to please their parents, from like the hero status from when they were young. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, you got to get honest about the season you're in now. Mm-hmm. You want autonomy and power and personal agency. Like, you gotta graduate. You gotta. Do
you know who
my
Kyle
father passed away?
Go ahead. Sorry.
My father passed away in 2015, And I remember someone before he passed away, he had pancreatic cancer for 8 years, which was like a miracle, right? But it changed my relationship with my father. And I remember someone once said to me, like, listen, you're making these moves in your life, and you're adjusting your future, and like, it's going to require that you possibly disappoint your uncle and possibly disappoint your father, but you've got to your father's alive, but you almost got to live like your father has already passed on, and give yourself that freedom to make choices as your own man, and as your own man, and let your father have his opinions about it. But you've got to do that while, and I did it while my father was still alive, and it altered my entire relationship with my father.
No. If your father was the man that you want him to be, you wouldn't be the man that you are today.
No doubt about it.
I mean, dude, like Kyle C, it's so funny that you said that story. Kyle C said, Kyle C is one of my favorite dudes. And he said on Impact Theory, if my mom wouldn't have passed away, I wouldn't be the father that I am, because I would be seeking validation from her. Now, look, when they pass away in the moment, that's really hard to explain. But when you get some distance from it, realize that until you step into the full power of who you are, you're giving it to somebody else at all times.
Totally. Yeah, you're outsourcing it. Yeah. You're just outsourcing power. And like when you actually start to consciously and deliberately and intentionally say, like, hold on, I get to regain and recoup and recalibrate that power, that adjusts everything. But here's the thing, like it's going to create some friction in dynamics in your own worldview, and your dynamic with your folks, with friends that, like, think about this, man, like the friends, if you're 38, wow. I'm 41. Like, dude, there was friends I grew up drinking with. Like, if I'm still surrounded with them now,
bro,
I got a whole different life.
Dude, let me tell you something. Getting sober,
just dynamic.
Getting sober is not the hard part. It's showing up in your friend circles as a different human, and them going, whoa, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're the drunk. Like, what the fuck?
We didn't approve of this. We didn't approve of this.
No. You know what I had some guy tell me? And thank God I've done so much personal development. I had an old boss tell me, still stuck. It's still there. I don't give it any weight. But like 6 months into me sobriety, and I lost like 40 pounds, he sent me a DM and go, I like Fat Austin better.
Oh, yeah, man.
And I'm like, you know what's interesting though? And this has been the hardest thing for me. I've had men get aggressive in my face. Like fucking, I'm talking about guys that scare me, like big motherfuckers that had a little too much to drink and got really fucking, like, I was nervous, like seriously. Right. And if you take some distance from those interactions, I realize they're actually pissed that I can be sober.
Yeah.
They can't fight it. And I'm a mirror looking right in their fucking face.
But you're a mirror that's challenging their behavior and their whole operating system. It's like a simple axiom of, like, no one's a meat eater until a vegetarian walks in the room, right? Like, no, because nothing checks the behavior. Now all of a sudden you're like, whoa, everything was cool as long as we were all unconscious. So wait, Austin, you're now getting conscious, bro. You're now challenging my behavior. This isn't what I signed up for. I'm not ready for that yet. That's too scary. And every time you're in front of them with a new behavior,
the reminder,
a growth behavior.
Dude, are you ready? Are you ready? I've never said this publicly, ever. I never said it publicly. I've made peace with it. I've had clients leave me. Like not like leave me, like fire me, but like stop showing up.
Right.
And I was like, dude, it's my ability. Like, I suck. And I'm like, wait, hold on. No, they can't stand to look at me sober and happy.
Dude, it's a challenge, man.
Just happened. It just happened. And like, I could sit there and beat myself up. And now I got some distance from it. And I'm like, no, he just can't look at it. I'm a symbol.
You're right. Right. You know, like, and it's a constant reminder, right? It's a constant reminder, and it's a constant check to behavior.
Mm-hmm. It's, right? It's imaginary accountability.
Right. right.
You know what's interesting? Right. No, I tell everybody today, I don't need accountability, because if I'm not leading from the front as a coach on social media, or like getting up in the morning or doing my workouts, I wouldn't have any clients. So I've almost baked in this imaginary accountability that I have to rule with. Yeah.
It's and here's the thing is, like, some people are going to be drawn into it, and some people are going to vibe out of it.
You know, my buddy, guy, I got to introduce you to this guy. You got to go on his show if you haven't met Ryan Sprague. He's a great coach. He's super out there. He's awesome. Nicest guy I ever met. He said, my favorite thing to do is piss people off within the first 2 minutes, because then I get rid of the people I don't want in my life.
You just filter them out. Yeah, you just filter them out. Right. Obviously, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. And most people won't care because they'll be too self-absorbed anyway.
No, I think the key to life is to understand that nobody gives a shit about you. At the end of the day, if you're not doing something to benefit their world or adding value to them, they don't care. They really don't. And the times that we spend, like you and I are having this conversation right now, but we're not thinking about if somebody's going to hear it, a day from now, a year from now, who they are 2 years from now. They might show up different. It might sound different to them. Like you read the same book 4 different times, but you're a different person each time. Like that's what people don't like. Remove your self-judgment because it's all relative. Right. Like I could just, like I tell, I used to work in the music business, and like my favorite people to make fun of are like artists sometimes, because they're so on their high horse with their fucking art, and I'm like, how about you establish yourself first before you start dictating terms? Right. And I'm like, after you've mastered the game for 10 years, then you can stand on a stool butt naked and sing whatever the fuck you want. But there's a game that you have to kind of play a little bit, to kind of earn the right to say what you want to say, right? Per se, and you can say what you want to say all the time, but don't be upset that people aren't listening because they don't like what you're having to say.
Indeed. Yeah. But I think there is the validity in what you just said, is like, we get to earn that right. But I think the most effective way to earn that right is through integrity and humility and leadership, like you're saying, and having that personal and imaginary accountability, because that really bakes in a man's character. And I think people are drawn to that. They appreciate that. They respect that. And that it's baked in. Then whatever platform or creativity or art that you have, that just becomes like a voice piece to the man's character. But if you're not actually strengthening and making your character foundational, I really could care less what your art is or what you're preaching, because it's not even it won't even matter.
Guys, rewind that last 2 minutes. He just gave you a master class in being yourself and how people are attracted to your brand. Yeah. The greatest compliment I've ever gotten in my entire life is you are your brand.
You're your brand, man. Yeah.
Like if that's what you're seeing from a third party point of view, then I've done my job.
Totally. Yeah. I just, bro, talk about crazy. I just got that compliment this morning, and I don't know. Bro, at 10 a.m. this morning, I was on an exit call with one of my clients from one of my programs. And he was like, "Dude, one of the best things I think is your brand. I heard you on a podcast, and I spent 12 weeks with you."
That washes over you, right? Like,
I was like, well, I must be doing something right.
You know what's interesting? When you're really doing good? That comment, and then this is the second one I've decided. This is when you've reached a new atmosphere. When the wife of your coaching client is texting you, thank you. Because that means he's showing up as a dad and a husband, and not just a business person. Yeah,
exactly. That's always that's a blast.
Yeah,
that's a blast, because it goes back to where we started, second circle. I may not even know his wife, but here it is. Like now, me working with him is impacting her. That's
dude. I'm telling you right now, I want shirts. Second circle of impact. It's a whole. You created a whole subculture of your brand. It's a movement.
It's a movement.
Now the problem is so my dad was a very popular dentist in Texas. He retired recently, and he had the luxury of, he had the first patient when he started, and then he waited on the patient's kid, and now he has the kid's kid. So now he's on his third circle or fourth circle of impact, right? When it's in his dentistry, right? Like that's what you're talking about. Like that's amazing. There you go. That's when you created legacy opposed to just business.
That's legacy. Yeah, that's legacy. Yeah.
So if people want to find out about what you got going on, how would they do that?
I'm at michaeldesanti.com. My book is New Men Emerging. That's on Amazon. And I have.
Here's what we're gonna do. Me, Dennis, Chase, and Anthony are doing an event here in Tahoe, and I am going to purchase 30 copies of your book and hand them out as a gift.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that.
No, guys, go check out the book, man. Check this guy out. Check him out on Building Men podcast. Check him out here, and it was such a pleasure to speak to you, man.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Austin.
You got it. Guys, if you like this interview, share it with some friends, send it to somebody that'll get some value, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.